Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews of newly released films, please check out our channel Reviews Without Remorse on YouTube and VidMe. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
And welcome to the #1 podcast according to our parents. My name is David, and I am angry like raging fire. And coming to us live by Skype connection, he is more like smoldering campfire, my good friend Joe.
Also kind of like raging fire.
Oh no, but Hulk like big raging fire.
Oh, Thor's like raging fire too.
He's more like smoldering campfire. This is episode 38, and in this show we will discuss the final trailer for Joe and I's most anticipated, quote, art house, quote, movie, end quote, The Disaster Artist, who has hit. And we'll giggle with glee about it. The Margot Robbie-led biography of Tonya Harding got a trailer, and we'll discuss I, Tonya. And here's an interesting bit. It seems 20th Century Fox has had initial talks about selling their media division to Disney. We will discuss. But the reason you're all here, we will deep dive into the latest from Tiki Watati. God damn it, I did it wrong. But the reason you're all here, we will deep dive into the latest from Tika Watiti. Thor Ragnarok. Gosh darn it. I'm just going to have to let that slide. So how are you?
I am good. I am tired. I am very my back is hurting, and yes, I am pretty beat up today. In fact, yesterday I was subjected to watching Pitch Perfect on a continuous loop for about 8 hours, and I gotta tell you, that's the dumbest. At the trade show, they had it on one of the TVs. The boss requested a musical to demonstrate how great it sounds, and I had to hear that piercing screeching in my ear all day long. And I said, this is the dumbest movie ever. Who would watch this?
They've made 3 sequels.
Yeah, somebody likes this stuff. I didn't get it.
You know what? People go to see 50 Shades of Grey, so who am I to judge?
There you go. So where are we at? What's happening this week, my brother?
Well, let's see.
Okay, who here can really reveal themselves to the class? Anybody?
I'll go. Don't talk about me, not to class, not to anybody.
Yeah, no, of course.
Show up on time, try not to fall asleep, everybody.
Am I hearing an accent?
Oh, no, what do you mean?
How old are you?
I want Greg age.
You're 19? Yeah. I just turned 14.
Wow, happy birthday.
So, everybody knows about James Franco. Everybody knows who James Franco is. And to a lesser extent, his brother Dave Franco. But does anybody know the name of Tommy Wiseau? Because if you don't, you're going to find out. Because Mr. Franco has directed a movie called The Disaster Artist. We have spoken about this movie before, which is based on the creation of a god-awful movie called The Room, which was written and directed by Mr. Tommy Wiseau, who James Franco is playing. And this week, the last trailer came out, and this was a bit of a different tone in trailers from the previous ones, wouldn't you say?
It looks pretty funny. I mean, I sometimes wonder when they do something like this, the reality is just so hysterical that I wonder, like, can they even do it justice? But yeah, what it's kind of interesting because it really does sort of. He's a fascinating guy, that Tommy Wiseau, and and I say fascinating because I really don't know a lot about him, I suppose, except for just the persona, and I am sort of fascinated to find out what makes this guy tick. So if this film gets into that, which it looks like it hopefully will, but it looks like the guy just sort of wants to be a mystery. So we'll see. I am kind of looking forward to it. It could go either way. But I'm hoping. I got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping it's good.
I agree. I also am looking very much forward to this. I mean, did you hear that Wiseau is actually working with Franco with this movie? So he actually has Wiseau's tacit approval of this movie?
I heard something about that, yeah.
Okay, so the original stuff that they were showing was all stuff from the movie, which was kind of insane, but this backstory about him, where did the money come from, what's with the accent, and all that other stuff. I love that they're actually... It feels like they're doing a completionist kind of story on this, because when I first heard about this movie, I basically Wikipedia'd, I IMDb'd, I did everything. It's like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I tell you, this is, I've never actually sat and watched it from beginning to end. I probably should. In fact, I will watch it from beginning to end before I see this movie. But it was almost like as soon as I started getting into like YouTube movie reviews, everybody had to talk about this movie.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
And like everybody would sort of throw out a reference, and I'd be like, well, "What are you talking about?" So then I started looking up reviews on it, and it was, "Oh my god, it's hysterical." So, hi, doggy, you're my best customer. I think that's my favorite part.
Hey, Johnny, you need some roses? Uh huh.
Oh my god. Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know what you were. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Mark.
I did not hit her. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
Seriously. And he throws out a plastic water bottle. Like, you didn't think that you're not really shooting for like high drama there, are you?
I'm looking forward to this movie. It's after, with all the movies that came out this year, I think this is the one I'm looking forward to the most, because I don't know why. I couldn't even tell you why. It just feels like just a fun, nice little piece of inside baseball, and I like that type of stuff.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I got my fingers crossed with this one.
Yeah, same here.
Even just the little clips they had. You're how old? You're 19. There's the lady goes, yeah, I just turned 14 yesterday. Oh, happy birthday! Like, I am very curious to see this.
The haters always say, Tonya, tell the truth. There's no such thing as truth. Everyone has their own truth.
I was the best figure skater in the world at one point in time.
You call that a clean skate? Stop talking to her. That girl is your enemy.
So, now, most of our listeners know this, but hopefully some of our younger listeners have no idea about this. Many, many years ago, there were two figure skaters. One was Tonya Harding, and goodness, I can't remember the other one's name.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Thank you, Nancy Kerrigan. That's right, because I should remember from South Park. And she cried like Nancy Kerrigan. Both trying out for the Olympics, and one day Nancy Kerrigan got herself kneecapped, and it turns out it was Tonya Harding that hired her boyfriend or something like that to do it. They've done a movie, a biography movie, that kind of, I gotta tell you, from the trailer, it kind of has this almost almost a little bit of Fargo type feeling to it, almost. You know, but almost in a serious manner, like the person who's directing. I have no idea who's directing. I should probably look that up. But the person who's directing is kind of like, taking from like the masters. He's taking a little bit from the Coen brothers in presentation, and yet they're almost taking it like serious. Like, they're really trying to get something, because they have the whole thing with the mother and everything like that being just an amazingly. I can't even think of the word to say, but she's amazingly at it. It's being directed by Greg Gillespie. He directed The Finest Hours, $1 Million Arm, Lars and the Real Girl, and Fright Night, the remake of Fright Night, which, by the way, if you have not seen, is actually good.
That's a conversation for another day. But I'm looking forward to this one as well. Yeah, and it's funny because I do remember, like you, I remember when that actually happened, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
It makes me a little nervous because when you compare it to movies like Fargo.
Well, that's what he's going for. It's absolutely what the look is.
Well, another movie jumped into my mind when I saw it. The movie I thought of was Boogie Nights. And that made me a little squeamish because Boogie Nights to me is a film that is trying a little too hard to rip off. Not rip off, but just to be in that vein of Tarantino and the Coen Brothers, and and I found it to be a little derivative, frankly. So I couldn't get into that movie like a lot of people did. But having said that, this could just be a very visual. It could be a little more Coen Brothers than Boogie Nights. So it looks pretty good, and Margot Robbie looks pretty good in it.
Yep, I never would have taken her to be Tonya Harding, but yeah, she works.
Yeah, I mean, you think Margot Robbie's just way too good looking to play like a white trashy kind of, not to be cruel, but I mean, Tonya Harding was. I mean, she was pretty rough around the edges.
Just a tad. But then again, she also played Harley Quinn, so I guess it's not that far of a line from one crazy to another.
There you go.
Personally, I'm moderately looking forward to it. I kind of feel like there's not a lot to bring to the table, and they've kind of already admitted right in the trailer that a lot is, shall we say, exaggerated for dramatic purposes, and a part of me kind of likes that whole, they're winking at the audience saying, well, that not all of this actually happened. but I like that, but on the other side of the coin, but it's now kind of like defeating itself. Now, how am I supposed to feel sorry for Tonya Harding or believe that her mom was actually that cruel to her if they're winking at the audience in the trailer saying this particular thing didn't happen? Well, what's to say that the rest didn't happen? Maybe this is a whole movie in her mind.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I do struggle a lot with based on a true story, inspired by a true story, inspired by actual events.
Yeah.
A lot of films they love throwing that line in the beginning just so they can say this is a real story to give it a little more gravitas, I suppose. And I think most films do take liberties. I think every made for any true story usually takes some liberties for dramatic effect, and for the most part, I don't mind it. This one, I suppose, the fact that they're kind of telling us and winking at us, does that sort of blow the whole? Are we peeking behind the curtain a little too much now, and you've sort of blown the mystery? It's an interesting point. But then again, if the movie is smart, then they will be very smart about how they do that, how they wield that that power to say, this happened, this didn't happen, or did it, kind of thing. Who knows? That could be part of the whole mystery.
True. I'm all for a movie that messes with your mind. I hope that it's made clearer to the audience, because it seemed like there were a couple of scenes that were definitely made up for the movie. I mean, that one shot of her standing over Kerrigan with a sledgehammer and smile and blood dripping down her face and everything.
Yeah.
That that's not actually how it happened, but I guess, I don't know. Tongue in cheek, who knows?
Yeah.
But I am curious.
Yeah, I mean, again, frankly, I probably, now that you got me thinking about it, I if that's a dream sequence per se, for example, I'd rather have somebody wink at me in the commercial saying, okay, this is a dream sequence, as opposed to something like Batman vs. Superman, where I'm watching whole scenes that you think are going to be in the film and are not, because they're just dream sequences.
Yes.
So I kind of like the idea that they are sort of like saying, like, okay, we get it. Some of this is going to be a little far-fetched.
Now, do we have a problem?
No, sir. No, Mr. Mouse. No, Mr. Mouse.
Oh, that's good, because I thought we had a problem for a minute there, huh? All right, now, get out there and make me some goddamn money!
So, it was mentioned today through third parties. Nobody's really saying for sure, but supposedly 20th Century Fox has had initial talks with Disney about selling their media division to them. Now, their media division consists of the movies and the TV the TV channels. That's the Fox TV. That's the FX and FXX channel. There wouldn't be the news or the sports division. It would just be the media division to Disney. Well, that's a heck of a way of getting the licensing back for the X-Men.
Now, didn't we just talk about this not that long ago, and you told me I was stoned out of my mind to think that could ever happen. But here, like you said, it's a different way to go about it, but could you imagine if they got the X-Men back?
Listen, I want that. I do want that. I want them to have the X-Men back. I want them to have the Fantastic Four back. I want them to have Galactus back and Silver Surfer. I want all that. Doom, for God's sakes, give me Doom.
Right.
But I gotta tell you the truth here. This isn't the way I want it to happen.
Well, go ahead.
I don't want my media companies becoming Disneyfied. Okay? I don't. I don't. I like that there are individual companies out there that do their own thing. I feel like when we talk about The Force Awakens in a couple of weeks, one of the things I'm going to bring up is the semi-Disneyfication of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's an unvalid concern. I wonder, I've had this debate with many people. People are like, do you think if Marvel had these rights, would they have done an R-rated Deadpool movie? And the truth of the matter is, I don't know. I don't know under the Disney banner if we would have gotten an R-rated Deadpool movie.
Right.
But it's not even just that. I mean, now we're talking 20th Century Fox is Die Hard. Die Hard now would belong to Disney.
Mm. Yeah, I tell you what, there's a lot of, I've heard arguments back and forth about all the superheroes really being under one roof. Is that a good thing? Is there a lack of diversity in tone? Is there going to be a lack of creativity? And my feeling is this: under almost any other circumstance, if we were talking about something else, and especially when we're talking about Disney, I'd probably wholeheartedly agree and say, no, I don't want Disney to be the supreme emperor over all of my entertainment. Having said that, boy, would I love to see Marvel own the rights to all the Marvel characters and just to see what they can do at this point. I mean, that train is moving so well and so smoothly, and we are getting so many good films and the characters and like, again, I try to think of my younger self reading comics and imagining one day going to the movies to see these characters on the big screen and to see, like, I always throw back to the Secret Wars. Like, could you imagine all those characters on the screen or something? I never would have believed it. And
if it were to happen, Secret Wars would probably be the next film series. Absolutely.
I tell you what, I mean, that could be. I could totally see them doing that as like a 4-parter thing, like a 4-part series. I think it was the original Secret Wars was 12 comics, if I remember right.
Yes, 12 issues.
Yeah, it lasted a year. It was a monthly magazine for a year. I could totally see them breaking that up into 3 or possibly 4 films. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see it if Marvel got that back. I absolutely would. I'd love to see Marvel do the X-Men. And again, we've had a great X-Men run. Hugh Jackman was a fantastic Wolverine. But again, that era is now gone. Jackman is done with it. So yeah, I would love to see Marvel get that back.
I want Marvel to get it back as well. I don't really want Disney to have the rest, because we're talking Avatar, we're talking Titanic, we're talking The Simpsons, we're talking Aliens, we're talking Predator, we're talking the Die Hard series. These are all the series that become their properties. The Night at the Museum series. Okay, the Independence Day series. Okay, maybe they can have that. The Planet of the Apes series. These are all the things coming to Disney if they get 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. I mean, with Disney getting that big, though, do you think they'd really take the creative reins on all those projects, or do you think at that point they'd be like, look, we got too many things to deal with over here. We're gonna call you, one division. You handle that. You handle, and unless they start screwing up or losing money, Disney might just say, look, you do what you want. I don't know. I mean, put it this way, Kevin. Like, you can't have like a million different Kevin Feige's running every single solitary film franchise. I don't know. I don't know if they would take that much interest in doing that. But who knows? I don't know. Incidentally, on a side note, where's Fantastic Four right now?
Nobody's saying anything about Fantastic Four right now.
They're not Fox?
No, they're Fox.
They are Fox.
Yeah.
So how come...
they're Fox. So they're part of they would be part of the deal. They would come over as well. The only one that wouldn't go back to Disney would be Spider-Man. If this deal would have happened, they would have them all.
Wow. Okay. All right. I like I said,
I'd rather they just buy the properties back. Let Fox be Fox. Can you imagine the Titanic ride at Disneyland? Can you imagine the Avatar ride at Disneyland? Can you imagine, like, It's a Small World being the Nakatomi Plaza? It's Nakatomi after all. It's Nakatomi after all.
Oh, my God. That's funny. Oh, my God.
I'm sure the Imagineers would love to get their hands on Planet of the Apes and build up a whole area for that. I mean,
wow. Yeah, like I said, I'm not crazy about Disney becoming like the one. I mean, I don't want Disney to have a monopoly on every single thing I watch. I totally agree with you there. And there is a part of me that's like, and almost like, especially because it's Disney. There is a part of me that, especially like years ago, I would have been like, oh God, no, shoot me first, whatever. But just as far as this Marvel thing goes, I would really, and again, it's not going to last forever. Something will change in the future. But for now, I would love to see just at least one shot where we get a good run, where Marvel owns all its properties and can just start pumping these movies out and, and doing really good team ups and all kinds of stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm loving these films. I am loving the Marvel films. It's got to be one of the best things going at this point. So I would just love to see them just have all the properties and just have some fun with them.
I agree. I do want that more than anything else, but not at this scale. 100%. I agree. I want that. Yeah. I want it so bad, but not at this scale.
I hear you. Okay. Well, they're just talking, so we'll see what happens.
So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh. And then I went on a journey of self-discovery, where I met
you. Imprisoned, the mighty Thor finds himself in a lethal gladiatorial contest against the Hulk, his former ally. Thor must fight for survival and race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela from destroying his home and the Asgardian civilization. Written by Eric Pearson, Greg Kyle, and Christopher L. Yost. Directed by Taika Waititi. This is Thor Ragnarok. Yeah,
Thor Ragnarok.
I actually wrote it out phonetically for myself. So, Thor Ragnarok. Let's get going. I'm going to ask you to get the ball rolling, sir. Okay,
I am just going to say, wow, holy cow. This was a spectacle. And I tell you what, I want to start off by saying this. I walked out feeling like, okay, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that it gave me everything that the trailer led me to expect. Like, I expected good things and I got good things. The bad news is that the movie was exactly what the trailer led me to believe, and I said to myself, you know what? Had the trailer toned it down a little bit and pulled it back, there's a lot of things in here that I think it would have been even more special had I not already seen it coming in the trailers.
They covered up the fact that he loses his eye in the trailers. They actually didn't show that in the trailers.
True. Yeah. I mean, but again, that's the last 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff in there, again, had it been more of a surprise, would have really just been just a knockout home run. But yeah, all right. Look, trailers are trailers. We've been down that road already. Having said that, I was absolutely blown away. I was blown away, and I felt like in the first couple of frames, not 10 minutes into it, I said to myself, this one is really going to be a challenge in how we judge these films. Because I almost felt like it was really sort of throwing everything you knew aside, giving you something just brand new and fresh, and just saying, look, here's what we got for you today. Forget about a lot of other stuff. And you know, I kind of said to myself, like, all right, how's that going to sit? You know, I mean, right out of the gate, I felt that there was a lot of, oh yeah, Thor and Thor: Dark World. You know, I just forget those movies. You know, we don't even like them either. So we get it. They're boring and whatever. So just forget all that stuff, and we're gonna move on. And I had kind of a mixed feeling from that, because I thought, like, well, that's a little dismissive, and you know, well, what if I liked aspects of the other films? And I kind of felt like it was, I don't know. I that was the impression I was getting, was that they were sort of saying to us, look, just forget those other ones, because we kind of didn't know what to go for, and yeah, they're boring, but here we're just going to go nuts. But once they had done that, and once we had just got into this new world, this new story, holy smokes! Just talk about just a treat for your senses. You know, I mean, it was visually, it was absolutely spectacular. It was fun. It was, you know, it was funny. It was light. I mean, you're talking. He's battling the goddess of death, and there are people getting murdered on Asgard. Yet the whole thing has a very light tone to it. You know, and I thought they really just nailed it. There were so many new things in here to digest. But yeah, just another home run from Marvel.
I gotta tell you, I agree with you on all of that, except I had one tiny little issue. I feel like that the comedy overran what should have been a very bleak story.
Yes, I agree with you there. There was moments where I think it did get a little much or a little too far, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like his entire society is basically being destroyed, and he's trapped on this world. It's not really moments for Thor to be joking. You know, I feel like that's the moments, like when Hulk was being his little obtuse self. You know, Hulk strong like fire, like we were doing in the beginning and stuff like that. Yeah. That was great. That was natural comedy. That wasn't like, you know, being the brunt of a joke or anything like that. And I just felt like Thor wasn't taking very serious what was going on because of his almost laissez-faire demeanor. I didn't expect him to be dour, but I just kind of felt like, you know, couldn't you leave the funny stuff to say, like, the awesome Jeff Goldblum, who basically killed every single scene he was in, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
All right. Or you know, or even to a lesser extent to Loki, because that's basically Loki's position, is to be the smart aleck.
Yeah.
And so that was the only thing that really took me aback. But you're right. It's such a beautiful film. But there's also the biggest problem. You mentioned, like, they almost ignored the other movies. And in a weird way, that was kind of a detriment. Because they kind of glaze over the fact that Jane Foster's no longer part of the picture. They made her a very big part of the first two movies, and then just 2 seconds before going to see Doctor Strange, is like, oh, we broke up. I broke up with her.
Right, yeah. That's and it felt very dismissive. Like, it was almost like they were shuffling those films just off to the side and just saying, forget those movies. And yeah, I had a mixed feeling about that.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we should have seen a little bit more on that one. The other problem I had is the Warriors 3. Okay, These were his best friends, and you know, fine. The only one that got a halfway decent death was Hogan.
Right.
Okay, Fandral and Volstagg are basically activating the bridge. Dead. It's like, blink, seriously? You missed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't satisfied with that at all. And the other thing I wasn't really satisfied with was Carl Urban's character, the character of Scourge, the Executioner. Mm-hmm. He's a great character in the comics. He is a foe that could stand toe-to-toe with Thor. He is relentless, he is passionate, and he truly worships the Enchantress. But this isn't the Enchantress, this is Hela. They kind of changed things around. But that was the thing that was the woman that he worshipped and would do anything for. And it made him crazy, and it made him dangerous. And this, he kind of became this kind of, I don't know what. I wasn't...
Comedy relief sidekick.
Something like that, but when he finally comes to his senses and attacks, I was thinking to myself, I'm supposed to be saying yay, and I was kind of like, and this is how they kill him off.
Yeah.
They didn't invest me enough into his character to include. Why even bother including him? You didn't need. I mean, he was there basically for Hela to exposition. That was basically it.
Big time, yeah. There was a lot of data dumping from her. Yeah, I expected more from his character also. I thought for sure we were going to see more of him and him do more things. But yeah, once she comes around and he just becomes like another minion, yeah, not much went on there.
Yeah, but aside from that, Odin, it was nice seeing Anthony Hopkins one last time. It was a nice send-off. It wasn't an emotional send-off. I didn't find myself... It wasn't Mickey dying in Rocky 3. And I kind of was hoping that they would go that way, and I didn't quite get that emotional about it like I did Mickey or any other character. And he just kind of like faded off and everything like that. And then immediately Hela appears. And there's Cate Blanchett just, Hot Topic, gothing it up like beautifully. Like that woman, she's did a fantastic job with this damn part. I'm sorry. She just looked, she's like, I don't know if I want to take her out on a date or run for my life.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I had the same feeling. I like the setup. First of all, I like the idea that when Thor gets back to Asgard, and when you saw Odin lying there eating grapes, watching the play, you kind of went, wait, what? So I liked what they did there. I didn't get it at first that he was really Loki, but you knew something was off. And I started to get nervous thinking like, I know this film was going off on a total different tangent than the first two, but I hope they're not going to screw his character up, but they didn't. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The idea of and I was thinking like, wow, like Loki really dumped him in a mental home? Like that's rough even for him. I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to understand that he's a bad guy. And then then the stuff, the cameo with Doctor Strange was cool. I liked it, but again, most of that was sort of already done in not a trailer, but in one of the other.
It was an after credit scene during Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good, but you would think that if they're gonna do that, I didn't think they would actually take a whole clip from that film and use it as an after credits. I kind of feel like the after credits should be like little fillers that you do, not actual whole clips that get used. So I kind of thought the fun there was a little, again, it lost some of its punch. And then when they do find Odin, I agree with you. He just sort of vanishes. I didn't quite get it. First of all, it was kind of a disappointing scene because, I mean, again, he's talking to his two sons right before he knows he's going to die, and for a scene like that, it did seem pretty lackluster. Like it was very plain. Nothing really happened, and then when he died, I was kind of like, well, all right. Well, why? But is he a Jedi? Why does he vanish when he dies? I remember when his mother died, there was a whole big funeral procession, and so when he just vanishes and turns into fairy dust, I was like, okay, I guess they got to move things along, but yeah, it's a little lack some punch.
If he's Odin, it's the Odin Force, blah 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 blah. You can explain that away, but it didn't feel real. To be perfectly honest with you, when it happened, there he goes fading away, and you kind of in the back of your mind like saying, this is probably just an Odin test, and he'll just show up at the end or something like that or whatever. But no, he was gone for good, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because that's how perfunctory it was. It just literally was, hey, we found you here in Norway, and yes, but I am dying, and I love you, and I love you. I love you both equally, and, Frigga, Balangon. It literally was that.
I will be dying in 30 seconds. Your timing is impeccable.
Pretty much. Oh, it's. I hate bagging on it about this stuff too, because I mean, granted, the one thing I want everybody to know is it is an entertaining movie. It really, really is. It's fun. It moves along nicely. Everybody plays their part very, very well for the most part.
Yeah.
It just, it feels like this is a movie that maybe should have been two movies. Like maybe Thor: The Dark World should have been the beginning of this, and then it finished after or something. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, well, it does, right. The parts that we're talking about that are kind of, really that was just sort of the beginning. And that was the beginning just to sort of kick everything off. I mean, we're probably talking about 20 minutes at the most. So, yeah, I think it was intentionally sort of rushed because they wanted just to get to the meat of the story.
Yeah, to get them off the car.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where everything really happens. And it did seem, by the way, it does sort of feel like there's some kind of dual movies going on when it almost feels like the stuff on Sakaar is like, this is the fun part where all the serious stuff is happening back on Asgard. Right. And I think what you said before about the tone shifts, that was sort of, that's where that awkward shift in tone was happening, I think.
It was jarring in some respects.
Yeah.
But, the thing is like, if you had secondary characters who could give a hoot about... If you had secondary characters that could give a hoot about Asgard, being the jokey ones, you can forgive it. Like, Jeff Goldblum's, little part as the game master.
Yeah.
Just, him being a joking jerk makes sense because this is his life. This is what he does. This is his planet. And he's just a slimy, weaselly little son of a gun. Mm-hmm. And gosh darn it, he just played it so darn well. I loved him in this part.
Yeah.
Couple of surprises in the movie. I wanted to mention this to you earlier. You had mentioned the part in the beginning about the play. So, did you know that the actor playing the actor portraying the part of Thor during Loki's death scene, that's Chris Hemsworth's brother that didn't get the part of Thor. That was Liam Hemsworth.
I did find that out later, and it was funny when I was watching that. I was staring, trying to figure out who that was, because you saw clearly the one was Matt Damon, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, I was looking at the other guy, I could not figure out who that was, and then I found out later. That is kind of funny.
Wait a minute, Matt Damon?
Matt Damon was the guy playing Loki.
No, he wasn't. Was he?
Unless I'm greatly mistaken, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to hold on. Loki actor. Son of a gun!
How did you not catch that?
I completely missed that. Oh my God. I can't believe I missed that. Yeah, it's right here on IMDb. Wow. And Sam Neill was Odin.
Yes, I caught that. That was cool.
Oh man, I feel like such a fool now. I was like, God, that guy's who's that actor? He looks familiar, but I can't place him. It's because he was lying down. When he's lying down, he looks so much different. And that's the excuse I'll take to my grave.
There you go. All right, so the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the elephant.
All right. Well, obviously your elephant might be different than my elephant. What's your elephant?
The Hulk. I thought.
He's pretty big.
What? Yeah, I'm curious to see what you thought of that, because I thought, I kind of, I was, the fact that he was the Hulk the whole time, and not, like, when I saw the trailer and you saw the two of them talking,
yeah,
I was thinking to myself, as far as I can tell, the Hulk really didn't speak in any of the prior films.
Briefly spoke. Puny God.
What's that?
Puny God.
Right. Not in you couldn't sit and carry a conversation with the Hulk. Right. And I kind of remembered, like, from the comics, like it seemed like the original iteration of the Hulk, he could say kind of broken sentences or whatever, but I don't really remember him like just chit chatting.
He did evolve into that actually at one point.
Yeah, because I do remember other stages. Like I remember like in the time of like the Secret Wars, where I guess he had learned how to be the Hulk and keep Banner's intelligence.
Right.
So I was almost sort of waiting for like some kind of an explanation why the Hulk can suddenly just sort of hang out and chit chat and talk. Because usually it was like it was just Hulk mode. Like if we need the Hulk, we need him to show up so he could just go crazy and start smashing things. And as soon as that's done, we got to turn him back into Banner, or else it could be a problem. And that was always the vibe I was getting up until now. Now suddenly we had the Hulk who can just sort of sit and chat, and I was like, all right. But like I said, I was really kind of waiting for a little bit of an explanation. I was waiting for even something simple as like Banner saying, "Oh yeah, I figured out a way to be semi-coherent," but not really. So I don't know. I just thought that was a little odd. I mean, it's not a ding. It's not a knock on it or anything. But yeah, I just felt like all of a sudden we had Hulk just sitting around throwing a ball against the wall. Like I'm like, it was almost like why would we need the Hulkbuster for this Hulk? You know what I mean? Like this seemed very different, and I felt like I was waiting for an explanation and never got it.
Well, the only explanation we have is time. He's been missing since the end of Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
So. If he spent 2 years as the Hulk, they actually came out and said he spent 2 years as the Hulk. So
and why? Yeah, but they don't really explain why that is either.
No, they don't explain why that is either. Maybe his anger never subsided. Maybe he just maybe who the heck knows. They showed that the ship had gotten into stress, and he probably went through that same wormhole that Hulk went through, and then wound up there. I don't know. It's a mystery. It might get solved. It might never get solved. It's hard to say. But for him to learn language and to be able to speak coherently after 2 years of being that character, I can see it happening. I see no reason why he couldn't learn rudimentary or even, because I mean, let's face it, his metaphors were still very like second or third grade, and his like Hulk like raging fire, so on and so forth.
Right.
He was still talking like maybe a young kid, not like an expert or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed, but again, it just seems strange. Like like I said, there was no explanation why he didn't turn back into Banner. I mean,
no.
he even had a bed. Like he's got a bed. So if he goes to sleep, why doesn't he turn back into Bruce Banner?
Again, it's something we're not going to know about. It could be because maybe, who knows? Did he have that thing that was on Thor? The shocky thing that was meant to keep him in line?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's definitely a question. It's an open question. It's a valid question, and I can't really come up with a decent explanation as to why.
I mean, there's a part of me that wants to, like I said, I enjoyed this movie so thoroughly that I am not going to pick on it for little things like that. But there is the critic in me that says I think I see a plot hole, and I kind of feel like we should have had a little explanation there.
I kind of feel like we should have had an explanation there too. It was a little too sudden. And how is it that like 5 minutes after turning back, from the Hulk to Banner, he suddenly is like, no, if I turn again, I'll never go back. It's like, how do you know that?
Right, yeah. Where did that come from, and why would that be? And does that mean we will never see Mark Ruffalo again?
No, I doubt that.
I doubt it too.
He's pretty sure he's going to be in Infinity War.
Yeah, I doubt it myself. So it's just kind of a throwaway line, and you kind of know what it is.
Yeah. All right, but besides that, we had a lot of good action. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of interesting ideas, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, we had Clancy Brown playing the voice of Surtur, destroying Asgard.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And we have the end that basically shows that I'm pretty sure Loki took the Tesseract when he put the helmet on the Eternal Flame.
I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, yeah, you sure you want to let him run around and do that? That was interesting. Yeah, and incidentally, I liked the part when he tried to trick Thor again, leaving the planet, and Thor zapped him with the thing.
Yeah.
And it was
that
like
was great.
And I think we were just talking last week about like, are you ever gonna not fall for that? You know,
and he didn't.
He finally didn't fall for it. He finally didn't get tripped up by Loki. He knew he was gonna screw him over. So and yeah, I noticed that myself, and I thought, and I thought the I'm really getting my Infinity Stone thingies mixed up because there was something else that looked like the Tesseract but bigger. That had like handles on both ends, I guess.
Oh, that was the casket of Ancient Winters.
And what is that?
That's from the first Thor.
I thought that was the Tesseract. I thought that was the same thing.
No, they're two completely different things. The casket of Ancient Winters has two handles and is used to fire out ice and stuff like that in snow. And the Tesseract just teleports you.
I thought the handles were just a way to get the Tesseract around. Okay.
No, the Tesseract is a perfect cube.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. I also liked when Hela was going through Odin's vault, when she got to the Infinity Gauntlet, she knocked it over and was like, fake.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and I mean, again, a lot of exposition there, too, with the paintings under the old paintings or whatever.
I like that stuff. I kind of wish we had explored more of that almost.
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat little backstory. The idea that like basically Odin and Hela, tamed the 9 realms until Odin was like, hey, you know what? Let's back off a bit. And Hela was like, no, let's keep going.
Right. Yeah, no, that was pretty good. I thought the girl who played the Valkyrie was spectacular.
Tessa Thompson. She was also in Creed.
Yep. Excellent in Creed.
In Westworld.
Excellent there and excellent here, and I thought she was very believable in that part. I really enjoyed her.
And indeed, she had that right mix. She had that like sturdy confidence, but tortured, but not overbearing about it.
Yeah.
And and she when she snapped to, she was like right there. She was all in, and she was freaking awesome in the fights and everything.
Yeah.
What's funny? As we're sitting here talking about this movie, in my mind, I'm flashing back to a lot of scenes and everything, and I'm thinking about how much fun I had at the time and how beautiful the movie was and stuff like that. But I'm having a difficult time coming up with a standout scene, a standout moment, a standout beat. I mean, I've got what I have for your consideration, but outside of that, I can't think of something that sticks in my mind as this like really, really cool thing that hadn't already been spoiled by the trailers.
Yeah, that's it. You're absolutely right. The big notes already got hit in the trailers, and that was, again, very frustrating.
You're absolutely right. You said it earlier, and now that we're talking about it and I'm thinking about it, it's like I want to talk about some of these things. It's like, no, that was in the trailer. No, that was in the trailer. No, that was in the trailer.
Right. Yeah, right. For a show that we do that's all full of spoilers, honestly, we're not really talking about much that we didn't see in the trailer.
Thor's eye. There he is. There's the biggest.
I mean, yeah, basically, but even in the trailers, you saw the 4 of them standing on the Rainbow Bridge, ready to do battle against Hera. So you knew they were going to get to that point, and really, just the final battle is the only part that's really mildly not even surprising, but you hadn't seen it yet.
But it wasn't even really memorable.
Yeah, no, it sure wasn't.
Hulk taking a dive at Surtur, was a nice little surprise. Would have been hysterical if we hadn't seen it in one of the damn trailers.
Yeah, right.
It's like I should have been screaming at the screen like, no, Thor, no, Hulk, stop.
Right. No, yeah, and frankly, that is kind of one of those little. I don't want to like. If I'm going to pick on Batman v Superman for putting things in trailers that are dream sequences and like, you go to the movies thinking like, oh my God, this is going to happen. Oh no, it was a dumb dream sequence.
Yeah.
This to me was almost like a fake out in the same vein where it's like let's show the Hulk going against Surtur. You know what I mean in the trailer,
Right.
but really in the actual movie, it's just kind of like a 30-second ha-ha. You're going after the wrong guy. Come back.
We don't actually want him to do that. That's silly.
Right. Yeah. But
oh goodness, this is hard, man. I'm having a hard time here. I'm trying to think of more to talk about with the movie, but I'm kind of I don't know.
Yeah. Well, how about this? I thought the overall style was also really interesting too. And I remember when we saw the trailers, and all of a sudden this like 80s feel was there. You know, again, like it was like the 80s style titles and music, and I was kind of like, all right. And I'll tell you what it actually reminded me of a little bit. There was at one point, what popped in my head. I mean, this is a film that you could probably say, there's different animes or different things that you can see the style. The thing that popped in my head was heavy metal.
Yes,
remember
that's
heavy metal?
Perfect,
right?
That feels exactly right. Yes, I just recently watched it actually, so yes, I totally see that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, there was a part when I forget what clicked it off in my head, but all of a sudden, like I started having heavy metal flashbacks. I'm like, that's what this sort of feels like.
For me, I think it was the scene when Hulk came out of the bathtub naked and Thor was trying to, not look.
In my memory now, can't unsee it. That was pretty funny.
I honestly, I mean, I feel like I'm not gushing about the movie enough. I should be, because I feel like but there's just so much about the movie that kind of feels like we need to get from where we left off in the Dark World and to a lesser extent Age of Ultron to the beginning of the Infinity War, which was the first cutscene that happened after the credits.
Yeah.
And yes, that was Thanos' ship that was stopping their ship.
Incidentally, by the way, I was when I went to the theater, I was really hoping to see an Infinity Wars trailer before the movie.
So were a lot of people.
Yeah, I really thought this was going to be the time that they dropped that. But then again, I probably would have heard that before But I you know what? You're absolutely right. It did feel like, again, Thor, Dark World, and then they had to make this like giant leap to get into Infinity Wars territory, almost like via Guardians of the Galaxy, which I know a lot of people are going to make the comparison that Guardians was so great, so now they had to Guardian out the Thor movies.
It's not an unfair comparison. It really isn't.
Yeah, no, very much. I mean, it is a completely different film than the first two. I mean, I feel like that's probably, that's the only part of it. I think that kind of rubs me a little funny. Again, I like. Did we have to see Jane Foster and Darcy and Dr. So and So? No.
You never remember Dr. Selvig.
I never did. Dr. Selvig. I mean, did I want to see them come back? No, not necessarily. But then again, it really just kind of felt very, very dismissive. I mean, I kind of felt like, I don't know, like I almost felt like you weren't going to keep Natalie Portman around too long, because I mean, again, she's not that fun. I don't even know if she even enjoys this, and I'm sure this also has something to do with what you talked about last week with the directors and everything getting moved around. But I don't know, like a little better send off, maybe just something, better than we dumped each other, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, like I never felt that they had to be like this super duper romance, like oh my god, I love her so much, yada yada. I didn't mind it if it was a little more casual, but they played it up to be serious. So you should have done something, I think, there.
I don't know. I mean, in many ways, this movie was hobbled by the first two movies. It had to get to a certain point in order to get here. And if the first two movies had been like Captain America, from the first Captain America movie, they had already planned that Bucky was becoming the Winter Soldier. And by the second Captain America movie, they knew that they were moving towards them hunting the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize it was going to become Civil War. That came later, but that's okay. They made it work.
Right.
Whereas Thor really doesn't have it didn't show any sign of a plan from the first movie to the third movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. You don't have to plan for everything. But I think that if you had sown a lot of the seeds early towards Ragnarok, that by the time we had gotten to this, we could have been more accepting of these things. The sudden death of the Warriors 3 would have been like, would have felt like that. Instead of like, oh, well, they're gone. Because that's what happened. I felt like, oh, shoot, they're gone.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, there was this sense of just like getting rid of the last two films. We really just don't want any part of it. I mean, again, Odin gets killed, the Warriors 3 get killed, his love interest essentially gets killed off. And they really just sort of just cut any ties from the first two films. And I don't know, like, so I mean, I again though, it's almost like I guess. I want to have my cake and eat it too, I suppose, because, again, I'm sitting here saying, like, oh, they shouldn't have gotten rid of this, shouldn't have gotten rid of that. But, on the other hand, I mean, we did reviews for both films, gave them our blasé sevens, and said, they're fine films, but, I can't remember much about it, or couldn't tell you much about it. I don't know what my favorite part is, whatever. So I guess they come along and say, look, we agree with you. We agree. These movies were lame, and let's just stop doing them and do something else. So I guess I can't complain, but yeah, I mean, it almost felt like they wanted to do the Avengers, so you have to do Thor movies, and no one really knew. Again, they gave it to Kenneth Branagh, thinking like, well, that's how you do that one. That's that genre, give it to him. And you got an okay film, and then you get the next one, and it was, again, just kind of didn't really know what to do with it, didn't really take any chances or do anything really exciting.
Yeah, so you had Alan Taylor. You had Alan Taylor of Game of Thrones. Like, that's his biggest show that he's known for, Game of Thrones. So that's probably why he got the job.
Yeah. So, and again, they didn't really, they were not ambitious films. This one to me is the exact opposite. This one is extremely ambitious. This one really does sort of it swings for the bleachers.
Yeah, and I appreciate what they did. I really, really do. But in a way, like I said, it's hobbled by what came before. Because what came before, in a way, has tainted this movie because they had to set up their own storyline by the time they got here because the original movies gave them nothing to work with. So by this point, the only thing they had to work with was we knew the character of Thor and we knew the character of Loki. And they focused on the two of them rightly because of that. But in doing so, they just forgot everything else, didn't give a clean send-off to a huge character. I mean, Frigga got a huge send-off.
Yeah,
Frigga
exactly.
Deserved to get a huge send-off. And Odin got barely anything. If I was Anthony Hopkins, I'd have been pissed.
I guess. I mean, again, how many of these do you think he wants to do?
Yeah, I'm talking about like, wow, they gave my wife a huge send-off.
Right, yeah.
I'm supposed to be the king of Asgard and everything like that, and I just get and I'm a whipple in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, like I didn't quite get that. Why does he? Whatever. And he doesn't even get to die on Asgard. He dies on Earth.
Yeah. Well, let's bottom line it, Joe. What did you give it?
I'm going to give this one a 9.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
Listen. Like I said, it's easy to sort of find the little chinks in the armor and. But again, I feel like I'm not, even the things that I've picked on it for dismissing the other two films, well, that's the other two films. How am I going to judge this film? And, if I'm going to judge this one for what it is, I mean, it is an absolute, it is a smorgasbord. It is a buffet of so much great visuals, so much style. I mean, the work that went into this is just absolutely amazing, I think. They finally gave Thor a great film, I think. I mean, this to me is the first great Thor film. And we've had, again, this is the third one, and the first two just very lackluster, very uninspired. And this one to me is exactly what they should have been going for all along. Maybe that's they finally he got the movie he deserves, I think, and they are finally getting to where they're understanding they're it's like Thor is almost it's almost like I'm watching Thor get more comfortable in his own skin. Like,
yes.
They finally know what to do with this character. He's not all Shakespearean and he's like, yeah, throwing the coffee cup on the floor. I like this drink. I want more. Brr. Like, that's funny in its own way, but it's not like hysterical. And I'm not necessarily saying I want Thor to be hysterical all the time, but they are settling into a thing with him that I think works. So, yeah, I mean, all of the characters were great. There was nobody who I didn't like seeing. The story worked fine. Like I said, they rushed into things to get things moving, to get him to where they want him. We didn't even actually talk about the big battle between Hulk and Thor. I mean, I thought that was awesome.
You know what? We were remiss. We absolutely were remiss. It was a great battle, and it was, no clear-cut winner. Heck, at one point when Thor's power first showed itself outside of not having his hammer, he had the Hulk. He definitely had him on his knees.
I mean, like you said, it's you don't want to sit there and talk about all the things that were in the trailers, but that was a big one in the trailers. But yeah, I mean, once you finally got there and saw it, it was like it was great. I thought, it was really good.
Yeah.
But again, and actually, incidentally, I remember thinking again, like I said, that I felt like the Hulk's level of consciousness I thought was pretty unexplained. I also didn't quite understand. Did the Hulk recognize Thor when he first sees him, or not? Or yes, I recognize him, but I still don't care. I'm gonna go beat him up anyway.
His motivation for deciding to just beat him up anyway is not made clear. No.
Right. So, like a couple things in there that I think could have been explained a little bit better or whatever. But again, what they gave us was absolutely fantastic. I really just enjoyed the hell out of it from beginning to end. I go back to. This was my most anticipated movie of the year, by the way. This was the one.
Yeah.
When I saw this trailer, I was like, "That's the one I'm dying to see," and they really delivered. I felt the same way as when I saw Spider-Man. Frankly, I felt like it delivered everything it promised, and it was just a home run for me. So, you, on the other hand, what did you give it?
I gave it an 8. I felt like it definitely improved on the previous ones. I felt like, Thor was much better presented. Loki was much better presented. I like the addition of the new characters, but with some questionable motivation on some of the parts of the characters, with the perfunctory way that they kind of just eliminated the previous movies, the death of Odin, which should have been an emotional gut punch that just felt empty. I couldn't give it any higher than an 8. I had a great time with this movie. I laughed all the way to the end, even with Jeff Goldblum's little "hooray, you won the revolution." It's a tie.
Yeah.
All the way to the end. I had a great time. I laughed, but as a critic, as a comic book fan, I do have to ding it a bit for its inconsistency with the characters and with its overjoyness in a bleak situation. In like 3 minutes, most of the Asgardian guards were slaughtered.
Mm.
And then we're joking 5 seconds later about seeing Hulk's penis. Okay?
Yeah, true. Very true.
There's some jarring moments there. So 8, I kind of feel like I'm being generous with an 8. I almost went with a 7.
Really?
I almost went with a 7. I figured you might as well just 7 the entire series. But as we were talking, I kept saying to myself, but you know what? He's right. I shouldn't let this movie be held back by its predecessors, because what it does really, really well. Its mistakes just feel glaring to me, and it's hard for me to give any higher than an 8.
Okay, all right. Wow, if you would have said 7, we would have had some words, my friend. If you said this is the same level,
No. As I said 7. 7 was when I walked out of the theater and I was still like kind of upset about Scourge and everything like that. But I had time to mull it over, and I was like, maybe give it a 7.5. And then as we were talking, I was like, no, you know what? I'm being too hard on the movie. I kind of have to remember that this is supposed to be entertainment as well. And it did entertain me. And it did it in a whole new way. It respected the character of Thor. It enhanced the character of Thor. It's the first Thor movie where they got Thor pretty much right. So why am I being so mean to it?
Right. Everything you just said, but I do agree with you that the dismissiveness that it treated the predecessors and the other characters, that's a very fair dig. I think that's perfectly reasonable to say. They felt like just very dismissive of the last two films, and I don't want that either. I understand you want to take it to a different level, and you can't do that by being shackled to the first two.
Right.
That's fair. But again, it was almost like they were kind of like rolling their eyes at it a little bit. Like they were kind of sneering at the first two, saying, screw this, and like you said, how fast the Warriors 3 got killed. The first two, zip just done. Like barely even. I mean, that they were like got sucker punched. Like you said, at least the other guy went down with a fight. I mean, that was.
Yeah. The other observation I have about this movie is they must have paid Led Zeppelin a lot of money for that song because they used it twice.
Yeah. That was, I tell you, really, really good. They really used that well in this film. It really worked nice.
Indeed. So, Joe, who asked you?
Basically, my who asked you was what I said. What we've been talking about is the dismissiveness with which they treated the last two films. That was probably, and I'm willing to bet that had they not been so dismissive, you probably would have scored it higher.
Definitely would have.
Yeah, and it's you felt it. You really did feel it. You felt like, all right, come on, guys, like don't like, I don't know. It was almost like now you're gonna look back and say, those were stupid. Like don't pick on them. Don't insult the first two films. And I had a feeling like that. Like they were really kind of sneering at the first two. And we dumped each other or whatever. Could have been a little bit better, a little better handled, and Odin's death could have been handled a bit better as well.
Agreed. For me, it was the character of Scourge, Executioner. I was really looking forward to the character very, very much. One of my favorite little side villains from the Thor universe, and I love Karl Urban. I think he's a freaking tremendous actor.
I do too.
I'm going to say it to the audience again, because I know you've already taken my advice, so I'm going to just say it to the audience again. If you haven't seen it, see Dredd. Not Judge Dredd, not the Sylvester Stallone one. We're going to have to go through that at some point, but see Dredd. And see a guy who completely understands a character and goes the distance with it. The man is freaking awesome. Also, he's a tremendous Dr. McCoy.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's an actor. It's funny we haven't really talked about him much before, but yeah,
we should do the Star Trek series at some point.
I agree with that. I think we should too. And he's a guy. It's funny when I found out. Like, I think the first thing I noticed him in was Star Trek, and when I thought he played such a fantastic McCoy. I was like, boy, did he nail that character. When I went back and realized he was the same guy who was the assassin from the second Bourne movie.
Yep.
I was like, what? Are you serious? Wow, is he good? Oh my god. Then
wait. It gets better. Go on. I know what you're gonna say.
Well, I probably not. I just thought like, wow, he's a really versatile, really good actor. And then Dredd was great, and then here, I mean, and then he did that even his scene in Red. He was the like the CIA guy in the Bruce Willis movie Red. He was
the cool guy.
Yeah.
Well, he was also in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, was he? I didn't even catch that.
Yes, he was in the Lord of the Rings movies. He was the I don't know if you remember the character's name, so I'll just describe him to you. He was from the Horse Tribe people. He was the cousin that tried to talk the king into taking a stand and fighting, and the king, when he was still being controlled by Brad Dourif, told him to get out of the country.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep, that was him. Him with his little blonde hair. Who's in the Chronicles of Riddick. His character's name was Eomer, just so that everybody understands that. He was on Xena Warrior Princess.
Okay.
Swear to God. He was Julius Caesar on Xena Warrior Princess. This guy is freaking awesome, and they've been talking about doing a Dredd TV show, and he said that he would absolutely do it, and I hope it happens.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, like I said, he's a really good actor.
Yes, indeed. He
All
got
right.
wasted here. Now, for your consideration, you want me to go first? You go first.
You go first.
Okay. For my consideration, Taika, you did such a beautiful job with that flashback of the Valkyries versus Hela. That was beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my God, I was watching that and that was just like, I mean, they showed hints of it in the trailer. It's like, man, that looks great. And when I saw the whole thing play out, I was like, oh God, that is just beautiful and cinematic. And just, it told a story without a damn word being said.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was my favorite 3 minutes of that movie.
I'm with you. I totally agree. That was absolutely spectacular looking.
Oh God, just thinking about it now, just the way the slow motion was done and everything like that, just so beautiful. And how about you? How about for your consideration?
Mine's gonna be just real simple and almost silly. The Hulk.
And you were just complaining about the Hulk.
Well, I was complaining about the lack of the explanation. When I saw him talking in the trailers, I was expecting, that something had happened. That Banner had again in the comics, they had different levels of consciousness and intelligence and the things he was able to do. Sometimes he could change on command even. So I was waiting for just some explanation as how we got from there to here. Because again, like I said, when he was in the Avengers, you had to put him to bed, and if you couldn't put him to bed, the Hulkbuster came out, and
No, I'm sorry. Every time that I hate to interrupt you, but every time Thor tried to do the lullaby, I just was laughing my head off.
It was.
The sun's getting low. Sun's getting low.
Right.
Sorry.
So yeah, it was the lack of an explanation that bothered me. But having said that, I liked seeing this new iteration of the Hulk where you actually got to sort of hang out with the Hulk as a character, and you got to sort of see what he's like in this universe. And I thought that was pretty cool because, again, you never really had that before. Frankly, I thought this was the first time I saw the Hulk from the comics. I don't want to say the first time, but, he's been good in all these films up until now. All the Avengers films, he's great. But this is sort of the Hulk from the comics that you got a little more of a coherent. He talks a little bit or whatever, and you got to sort of just hang around with the Hulk. I thought that was kind of wild. He's not just the force to be reckoned with. He's not just the hurricane coming through. Him bouncing a ball against the wall was actually kind of funny. I thought that was pretty clever. So there you go. I like seeing the Hulk on the screen and that we can sort of hang around with and talk to, whatever.
All right, I'm going to grant you that one. I am definitely going to grant you that one. But yeah, all told, really did enjoy it. I do recommend people see it, and just fun. It was fun. It's nice to have fun.
Agreed.
Whereas next week we will be reviewing Man of Steel in preparation for the up-and-coming Justice League movie in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Man of Steel.
Yes, this should be interesting.
Yeah, this will be a good one. I haven't sat and watched it in a while, so I'll be curious to revisit and see how we feel about it.
In that case, until next week, Joe, a pleasure as always, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for your hosting duties and editing duties. Well done.
No worries. And everybody, ladies and gentlemen, you have a great night. Joe, have a great night.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. And be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube and VidMe for spoiler-free reviews of new releases, as well as in-depth discussions of current and classic cinema. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron. You can find our page at patreon.com. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are used for commentary and critique, and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
We're the same, you and I. the hot-headed fools.
Yeah, same. Hulk like fire, Thor like water.
Well, kind of both like fire.
But Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire.